Hello again. I thought I would make a short video. I've talked about the phrase human being, so that's a topic I'd like to just make a brief mention of. But if you've watched this series so far, I know there's quite a few videos, you'll notice that I've tried to show that certain words that we use in our vernacular today doesn't necessarily mean the same as it did a long time ago. We've kind of altered the meanings of words, and that's been a detriment to our freedom. Another one of those words is human being, just like person, nation, state, country. Most people don't know what that word really means. God, they don't know what religion. There's been several words that organization. I'm trying to think of all the ones that have kind of rambled off. But there's a lot of words here that most people use in their everyday language. Another one, an individual. That we think we know what it means, but in reality it means something a little different than what we use it for in common language when it comes to law. So I thought this was rather interesting. I don't know if most people are familiar with the Disney version of Alice in Wonderland. Well, this is from the book Through the Looking Glass, which is what the Alice in Wonderland Disney cartoon is from, by Lewis Carroll. So Through the Looking Glass with Lewis Carroll, and this comes from a conversation between Humpty Dumpty and Alice about the controlling meaning of words. Humpty Dumpty took the book and looked at it carefully. "Oh, that seems to be done right," he began. "Well, you're holding it upside down," Alice interrupted. "To be sure I was," Humpty Dumpty said gaily as she turned it around for him. "I thought it looked a little queer. As I was saying, that seems to be done right, though I haven't time to look at it over thoroughly just now. And that shows that there are 364 days when you might get an un-birthday present." "Certainly," said Alice. "And only one for birthday presents, you know. There's glory for you." "Well, I don't know what you mean by glory," Alice said. Humpty Dumpty smiled contemptuously. "Of course you don't, till I tell you. I meant there's a nice knockdown argument for you." "But glory doesn't mean a nice knockdown argument," Alice objected. "When I use a word," Humpty Dumpty said, in rather a scornful tone, "it means just what I choose it to mean, neither more nor less." "The question is," said Alice, "whether you can make words mean so many different things." "The question is," said Humpty Dumpty, "which is to be master. That is all." It says quite a lot from what we think of as a children's book. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this article that was written many years ago by Randy Lee in the Christian Journal Society News. To be or not to be a human being. From Ballantines Law Dictionary. Now, Ballantines is the law dictionary, I believe, that Congress uses. Most everyday lawyers and stuff uses Black's Law Dictionary, but Ballantines, I believe, is the version of a law dictionary that the U.S. Congress uses. So this is from Ballantines Law Dictionary, 1948. Now keep in mind kind of what Humpty Dumpty's talking about. As we change the meaning of words over time, we dumb down the society. And in a lot of law dictionaries I've noticed, I've got several versions of law dictionaries, and I've used Bouvier's from the 1856 online edition, and you can kind of see some differences there. But I have several versions of Black's Law Dictionary, and they haven't really changed the definition that much. But what they've done is they've used obfuscation through more convoluted definitions so that it's harder for you to grasp the actual meaning. If you're just a common everyday Joe. And that's what's sad. So here we go back to 1948 in the dictionary that Congress uses, Ballantyne's Law Dictionary, for this definition. Human being is defined as follows. See monster. What? From the same dictionary. Okay, so now we go to monster. Monster is defined, quote, a human being by birth, but in some part resembling a lower animal. What? Okay, that's kind of weird. This is an unusual definition, but like all law dictionaries on this subject, a non-definition. It only states that a human being is a higher animal. It is not found anywhere in Scripture that a Christian man or woman is an animal or part of the animal kingdom. This being the case, then, what exactly is a human being? From the Oxford New English Dictionary of 1901, human is defined as, in the third position, belonging or relative to man as distinguished from God or superhuman beings, pertaining to the sphere or faculties of man with implication of limitation or inferiority, mundane, secular, often opposed to divine. Okay, secular being the important word here, we look to the multi-definitions in the 1992 Random House Webster's College Dictionary. Secular, adjective, 1, of or pertaining to worldly things or to things not regarded as sacred, temporal. 2, not relating to or concerned with religion, opposed to sacred. 3, concerned with non-religious subjects, not belonging to a religious order, not bound by monastic vows. Now, if you recall in some previous videos, I kind of talked about some of this. The other form of law that we're talking about where your freedoms comes from here. And most people would ascribe this to be a religious book, but I also have a video out here in this playlist telling you what religion really is. It's not an ideology, it's what you do in service to others and in service to your God, your sovereign power, your lawgiver, your ruling authority, whether that's the state or the God of creation. Okay, all right, so let's see here. Could it be that human means ungodly? And we just saw all this, worldly stuff, temporal stuff, not concerned with religion, not concerned with religious order, not bound by monastic vows. What are your monastic vows? Your pledges of allegiance to this other foreign sovereign that has this law book. Okay. Could it be that human means ungodly? From the same dictionary, a look at a combination of two, secular humanism. Noun, any set of beliefs that promotes human values without specific allusion to religious doctrines. And secularism, noun, secular spirit or tendency, especially a system of political or social philosophy that rejects all forms of religious faith or worship. Now again, religion is what you do in service to your sovereign power and to your neighbors, and how you provide foreign aid to others, other nations foreign to yours in their time of need. Faith is allegiance, fidelity. Worship is homage, obeisance, obedience to the laws of your sovereign. These have very specific secular and meanings in law, depending on how you behave to your God, which is your sovereign power. The state is either your God or the God of creation is your God. You have a choice. Which one? The view that public education or other matters of civil policy should be conducted without the influence of religious beliefs. Oh, if only people knew what religion was. Public school is a form of religion. It's a form of, you don't want to educate children. They're really not your children, excuse me. They're the state's children, and you send them to 10th Plank public schools because those are the state's kids going to the state's school. He's the father. The state is the father of the children, and they're going to the state schools. So that's a religious benefit within the public religious sphere of the civil state, and all that public religion is financed through compelled taxation on property taxes because you don't own that property. It's a tribute. Ouch. So you're practicing religion, but you don't call it religion. You call it, public education or social welfare. All these social justice warriors out here are these secular human beings that are monsters, that are lower, resembling a lower animal, that look to the state as their God only and want the state to provide all the benefits of a father to them. And they want to destroy any kind of recognition of this God and the rights and the law that go along here if you follow the responsibilities, obligations, and duties this law imposes upon you. Remember, kids, rights follow responsibilities. If you don't perform on your responsibilities, your duties, and obligations under the sovereign that you've pledged allegiance to by keeping that law, then you don't get access to those rights. Where do your unalienable and inalienable rights originate? Right here. Under that civil system, you just get privileges, immunities, franchises called civil rights. Okay, so in conjunction with this, from Collier's New Dictionary of the English Language, 1928, humanitarian is defined noun, a philanthropist, an anti-Trinitarian who rejects the doctrine of Christ's divinity, a perfectionist. This is what religious goofballs call legalistic, meaning you can earn salvation by works. Now, nobody who follows the Bible, even if you keep the Torah, you're not keeping the Torah for your salvation. You're keeping the Torah after you have been promised salvation as your obedience to this sovereign that you're now looking to. If you went and expatriated and joined another body politic, would you, from being accepted into that civil family, let's say you're an American and you want to expatriate and become a Panamanian or a German or whatever, if you expatriate and get naturalized as a Panamanian, are you now expected to keep the laws of Panama? Of course you are, because that's your God now. Okay, so anybody who rejects the doctrine of Christ's divinity, they're trying to perfect themselves. That's what humanism is. It's we're gonna be God. Remember, what's the motto of the United States? E pluribus unum. Out of many, we are the one. We are the supreme being. Okay? From the above Random House Dictionary, whoops. Where was I? Where was it? Oh, there it is. From the above Random House Dictionary, humanitarianism is defined, noun, the doctrine that humankind may become perfect without divine aid. There it is. With no definition of human being in law, Mellenkoff's Dictionary of American Legal Usage, 1992, defines person as one. Remember, that person is a legal fiction under civil law, created with your birth certificate and other contractual things like citizenship, social security number, etc. A human being without regard to sex, legitimacy, or competence. This person is the central figure in law, as elsewhere, characterized by personal attributes of mind, intention, feelings, weaknesses, morality common to human beings, not godly men. That's a much higher form of morality. You know, do they punish adultery over here? You know, you can go sleep around and have sex with anybody's wife. You're not going to be punished. There's not the morality over here is very low. Okay. So that morality common to human beings with rights and duties, remember, rights and duties to the sovereign under the law, the lawmaker, the U.S., the state of whatever. This is a person, sometimes called an individual, and often referred to in law as a natural person as distinguished from an artificial person. What's the artificial persons? Those are U.S. persons that are corporations, LLCs, trusts, so on and so forth. Of course, morality common to human beings is not explained because that would reveal too much. Again, in Shamut Bank N.A. versus Valley Farms, it states, for purpose of statute protecting certain property from post-judgment remedies, and therefore from pre-judgment attachment, natural person means human being, not artificial or juristic person. So, if a natural person and human being are considered the same in law, let's take a closer look at what a natural person is. Let me scroll up here. As you may know, all government codes, rules, and regulations only attach to corporations, partnerships, and natural persons. Why? Because the civil government only has authority over that which it creates. And it creates corporations, partnerships, and persons. How did it create them? Birth certificates, birth registration, social security numbers, marriage licenses, all that. In American law, it seems that a definition of natural person does not exist. To get any idea of what a natural person is, we have to go to English law in the 17th century. Lord Coke, I know that looks like Coke, but it's pronounced Cook, differentiated between natural persons and moral persons in a community. What? He differentiated between natural persons and moral persons in a community. In the capacity of moral persons, for as natural persons have a certain space in which their natural existence is placed and in which they perform their natural actions, so have persons in a community a certain state or capacity in which they are supposed to exist, to perform their moral acts and exercise all civil relations. 2 Institute 669. So what he's saying there is when we enter into a body politic, like the state of Israel, the kingdom of God, or the state of Iowa, or the state of Florida, or the state of Germany, we take on a moral character because as a corporate member, we have some moral duties to our neighbors. Now again, in the civil system, those are very lax. In this nation, in this body politic, they're a little stricter, much higher moral duties over here in that form of law. And exercise all civil relations. Okay, with natural man being the same as natural person, we find further evidence of exactly what a human being is. From the above Random House Dictionary, page 901, natural, adjective, natural man. Unenlightened, or unregenerate. From the same dictionary, page 1461, unregenerate, not regenerate, unrepentant. It's getting good now. 2, unconvinced by or unconverted to a particular religion, sect, or movement. Wicked, sinful, dissolute, an unregenerate person, a sinner, somebody who rejects the Creator God. In conjunction with this, from the shorter Oxford English Dictionary, 1933, naturalism is defined as a system of morality or religion having a purely natural basis, a view of the world, and of man's relationship to it in which only the operation of natural, as opposed to supernatural or spiritual, laws and forces is assumed. And naturalist is defined as one who follows the light of nature as contrasted with revelation. So somebody who only wants to live a direct experience from nature and get all of their knowledge and wisdom from that as opposed to divine revelation, that's part of this naturalist, humanist agenda. And of course, the scriptures, being the final authority, confirms all of the above at 1 Corinthians 3:14. But the natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. Therefore, when a Christian calls himself or herself a human being, they are saying, I'm an animal. I'm unreligious or non-religious. I'm unrepentant. I'm wicked, sinful, dissolute. I am unable to do all things and be perfect without Jesus Christ. Or I am able. Sorry, I read that wrong. I'm able to do all things and perfect without Jesus Christ. I'm subject to man's laws rather than God's laws. So how many of you are out there are calling yourself a person? How many of you are out there calling yourself a human being? If you believe in this Creator, if you want to be a part of His body politic, His nation, His holy set-apart people that follow a much higher moral, ethical, and legal code to deal with, to fulfill our duties to this Creator as our sovereign, our king, our lawgiver, our judge, and our fellow man, then you do not want to call yourself a human being. And you don't want to be a legal person. But again, we haven't talked about how you can legally and lawfully come out of that and be part of His people. Come out of her, my people, so as not to partake of her sins. We'll get there. Hey, thanks for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Remember, this is not to be construed as legal advice. No, it's only for educational purposes only. Thanks again. Bye-bye.